Hello, welcome back to the Off-Grid family. Today I'm starting a series that is all about the upkeep of the K40. I'm going to do some upgrades, I'm going to get a few bits and bobs with 3D printing some new bits, and we're just going to get it so that it's tip-top condition, the best we can get it working. And I'll be trying out bits and bobs that will either work or they won't work, and it just saves you messing about with it yourself. Anyway, I'm going to start off by changing out the pump. My one's got a bit slow and sluggish because the water's manky and it was the original pump that it came with, so it's not very good. And normally I would put some sort of disinfectant in the water, a small amount, just to stop the growth of anything. But I'd like to do a little experiment, and what I'm going to do is I've got a few family members' birthdays coming up. I'm going to clean out all the water, and then I'm going to do all of the bits for them as birthday presents, and then I'm just going to leave it. And normally there'd be no bacterial growth, there'd be no stuff growing, even though there's bits and bobs that get chucked in there by mistake, etc. And I just want to see, I'm going to leave it a few weeks and I'll see if how important having something in there to stop the bacterial growth is. And I think it's going to turn out to be quite manky, even just in a small 3-week period, but we'll see. Before we get on, I'd like to thank Paul, David and Simon, my patrons. You guys are awesome and I really appreciate everything you've done for the channel. You guys keep this channel running and the support you show me is just amazing, and I really, really appreciate you. If you guys would like to be a patron, the link is in the description. There's behind the scenes footage, early access, that kind of thing. Anyway, we'll start off then. We're going to change out the water and change the pump, and we're going to get that running, and then I'll be back and we'll talk about the next stage. Let's get on. As you can see, it's starting to look like soup in there, but this has completely packed up, and this was the crappy one that you get with them originally. So I'm going to take that off, take this out. I've tried to clean this out because it's full of all these little bits, but it's got nothing to clean out. It sort of sucks it into a main chamber that you can't get to without making it not waterproof. And that's about it. It's absolute rubbish. But then again, it came free with the laser, so what can you expect? But I'll show you the one I've bought and what it looks like, and we'll go from there. Okay, this is the new one. I've had to find this bit myself after they sent me loads of them. Have a look at these pictures. Loads of different ones from different suppliers, none of which were the right size. I think I ended up getting 5 different sizes, but I haven't shown you all of them because some of them I've put back online to sell. But this is the new one, which is going to plonk it in. I'm going to wire it up, or tube it up I should say. And we'll see how much better this runs. Now bear in mind, the actual indicator that told me that there was water going through before it started to go like this. It was literally just not even ticking over, and I thought I'd probably damaging the laser tube because not as much water's going through it, so it's not keeping it cool enough. So it was about time to, upgrade. So nice. Now, as you'll see, this tube is actually starting to wear away too. It's starting to go very white rather than the see-through colour it was, which is probably the sunlight destroying it a little bit. Nothing I can do about that at the moment. I do have more tubing, but I just haven't got around to doing anything with it. Right. Plonk this in. Now I will be doing a complete clean-up of this. I'm actually changing the cooling system that I'm using. So I'm going to be building a new one, which means I will clear this water out. And well, it won't be anything like this, but this water will be cleaned, and there'll be a filter connected to it, because this water does get quite messy quite quickly, because I use ice blocks directly from the freezer. So there's often peas in here and all sorts of other nice debris. So I'm going to sort this out in a future video, and it'll all be different, but you'll see. Right, now everything's wired up to a remote control, so I can turn everything on at the same time. Let's have a look. What's going on? There you go. It's pushing all sorts of debris out. There's loads of stuff stuck in the pipes, it looks like. Can you see that coming through like sludge? That's been the problem, because the pipe's so slow, because the last pump was so bad, we weren't having any water flow coming through it at all. So it was coming through, but it just wasn't coming through quick enough. So it made it all full of gunge and so on. They're scientific words, I promise. So that is still very, very poor flow. There we go, there's some more stuff coming through. Okay. And I have to clean out the tubes, I think. Right, that is the best we're going to get, but that is much, much better than last time. One thing it has done, hang on, let me show you. This was getting sort of like all sorts of fungus and stuff growing around it, but it's obviously pushed it all through, because this pump is much, much stronger. But it was having all this little stuff growing up here, and I noticed it coming over there as well. So we've made a bit of progress here, hopefully. And that's what the water looks like. It's not pleasant. Probably because I bring ice blocks directly out of the freezer into here. Bits of like peas fall off into the water and so on. So I had a dead fly in it at one point. So it's not pleasant. So we're going to have to empty it all out and hope that it is just the state of the water. For that, I've got a few bits ready, so let me show you. Right, I've got some more deionized water. I use this because this doesn't allow the current, the electric to flow through it. It's just a safety measure. I have an antimicrobial stuff which I'm going to pump through the system for a little bit. And I've got another bucket because I'm going to fill this just with water and the antimicrobial and just pump the system for a while, going from one bucket into the other bucket until it's emptied. Right, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this up. And then I'm going to put the pump in there, and I'm going to see if that will pump through anything, and if it speeds up the pumping process. It still could be the pump's full of rubbish, but it might just be that we find that there's a better amount of fluids going through it because of the, it won't be as thick and viscous as the stuff that's there now. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so here is our one with clean water in, and here's our one with gnarly water in. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab the pump out of there, plop it in this clean one, and leave it to recirculate this water into this gnarly one, and hopefully by the time it finishes we should get some movement from that little puppy, but we'll see. Right, we're hoping that when I click this button the pump starts up and that starts to turn after a little while. There's water coming through and air bubbles. Okay, there we go. And that is flowing how it should be. Look at how much better that is. Right, there's still a lot of air bubbles coming through. Right, I've just tipped this out now, and I'm going to take it downstairs and I'm going to clean the whole thing out properly with like some soap and water, and make sure that I've got rid of all the soap and water afterwards. And then this is ready to get refilled, and I'll do that in a sec. Okay, so we are now into the future, and basically it's been about 3 or 4 weeks since I've used the K40, and it's been left dormant. There has been no antibacterial or bleach or anything put in the water, and I'm going to go back and check it. Now, I just want to put a little warning here. If you are adding anything to your water, first off, always deionize water. It will stop many, many electric shocks and nasties. But also, don't add too much antibacterial, antifungicidal, or bleach or anything like that, because that will conduct electricity. So you don't want too much of that in there either. I made the mistake a few years ago of adding too much antifungicidal stuff in it, and it was able to arc to the actual, from the machine to the actual water. It was terrifying. I was able to turn it all off. All of it's on remote control, and it was all earthed, so it wasn't, it could have still been deadly, but it wasn't, luckily, and I learnt my lesson from that. So just bear that in mind. If you go into all the effort of making the water so that it can't conduct electricity, don't add stuff to it that's going to allow you to conduct electricity. Anyway, let's have a look at the water now. that is disgusting, so we do need something to stop the growth of any of these nasties. So I'm going to clean it out again, and then I'm going to talk you through what to add to make sure that you're being safe, and so that you don't get any of this nasties growing, because you don't want this in your tube and making blockages or whatever. You know, you need really good flow. So I'm going to clean it all out and I'll be back. Right, now I'm going to fill up the coolant part of this, and I'm going to use deionized water. The reason you always use deionized water is you can really badly electrocute yourself otherwise. Do not use just regular water. You will electrocute yourself, you will kill someone, you will break something, you know. I'm going to start off putting 4 of these in, which will be 10 litres, and I'll see how much more I need. I always buy extra of this stuff anyway, but I think about 10, maybe 15 I'll put in, I'm not sure yet. Don't throw these away once you've emptied them out. Fill them up with normal water, then freeze them, and you can use these as your ice blocks. Right, I put in 15 litres of water, and I'm going to put a little bit of bleach in, and it's about 15 millilitres per 10 litres. So because I've used 15 litres, I'm going to use about 22 millilitres of bleach. It's not super exact, but just be careful not to overdo it. Okay, so that is the water side of things sorted. We've got the pump working, we've got everything cleaned, and we got an experiment in as well just to see what would happen. I quite enjoyed doing things like that. It was a lot of extra hassle, to be honest, and sort of regretted it halfway through, but such is life, you know. I hope that helped you guys. As I say, this is going to be a big series, and I'm going to have a lot of different things, from aligning the lasers, aligning the mirrors, actually changing the mirrors, changing lenses, all this sort of thing. So hopefully I'll get quite an extensive series set up for you. So if you're a new person to K40 or lasers in general, hopefully you can get something helpful from this. If you have any hints and tips of your own, leave them in the comments. You know, I really appreciate it, and I'd love to learn from you guys as well. So I would really appreciate that. As I said, if you would like to become a Patreon, pop down in the description. There's behind the scenes access, there's early access stuff as well, and I'd love to thank Paul, David and Simon again. You guys are awesome. I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.